with the truth.
It's really
and it's time for you
first-rate
to
artist.
choose a side.
I love this
You're
song.
listening to Alex Jones.
Let's roll some of this Summer of Rage.
Chaos is hanging around, put your ear to the ground, shudder from the sound.
The Death Machine.
The death machine ain't slowing down, it's gaining pound for pound.
A gas mask is the couture.
A gas mask is the couture in the summer of rage. The building mass graves within the states. You and I, they'll vaccinate. They're preparing us for an all-out police state.
Best part right here.
Your world is going wild. Can't trust nothing. The love in your mind's eyes. Little time, salvation's in your smile. Just wish I could be blind to see the whole river rise.
All right, I'm going to go to your phone calls here, and I'm going to try to shut up, just let you make your point, move to the next person. I'll never get to anybody. Let's go ahead and talk to Jody in North Carolina. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. I'm from North Carolina, so I just wanted to let you know that North Carolina, the way I was raised, we say thank you anyway. I know you don't want us to say that, but I also wanted you to know that I'm also Info Warhound. I'm out here constantly, doing my research and studying. And at first, when I first heard about you, I'm a first-time caller, but I heard about you about a year ago from a friend of mine, and I decided to check you out. I had been growed up on a little bit of Rush Limbaugh, and a little bit of Glenn Beck and others, and a little bit of Savage Nation, but I listen to your show. I'm a truck driver. I drive up and down these highways. I do in-home delivery out of High Point, North Carolina. And just wanted to let you know, man, I'm out here. I let these customers know about you. After my research, outside of God, I believe in you, brother. I believe in your cause. I believed it for 10 years myself before I found you, which is kind of like a blessing in my life because you opened up a whole new perspective on things that I had overlooked because I was also dumbed down with this mainstream media and society. And after opening up everything and kind of just revealing your Pandora's box and what was going on, I seen it was the truth. And I think the hardest thing for me is trying to go to my family members. God, it seems like they're the ones that don't want to believe in it.
Oh, listen, brother, I know the feeling. I'll be around family members and people that aren't really listeners, and they're nice folks, and they're somewhat awake compared to the average person, but you almost feel like you're doing bad things to tell them about bad stuff that's happening. It's almost like impolite, but we don't have a future if we don't. We owe it to them to admit just how bad things are. Because, again, as good people, or as just folks that aren't overtly evil, none of us are perfect, we are blind to just how bad people are, and that it's limitless what they'll do. So I totally understand what you're saying and what you're getting at, and that's why I personally, I don't really beat family over the head with this info if they don't already know what's going on. I reach out to folks just randomly everywhere and tell them what's happening. And it's certainly working. There is an undoubted awakening happening. And Ron Paul concurs, I think for the first time ever, he said we're getting close to a turning the tide or close to a tipping point. He now thinks we're right there. And I agree with Dr. Paul, who's a pretty smart cookie. So what else did you want to throw out there, Jody? I appreciate you promoting the show to folks, because that's how we're going to expose these people.
Absolutely, sir. I agree 100%. I just want to let you know also that I go to customers' homes every day. I deal with 40, 50 customers every trip. I'm all over this country, all 48 states. So I get to see a lot of these things you're talking about as I'm doing my travels here. And I have noticed how, things are changing. I've been looking out for the armored vehicles, the things like that, the sheriff's departments and things. I go through Dallas. I lived in Dallas for 3 years, man. I love Texas. If I ever retire, told my wife that's where I want to live at. Would love to live right next door to you. Man, you're like my biggest hero. But anyway, outside of that stuff, I just want to say, maybe you could tell me how I could convince my wife, who's an intelligent woman, 4.0 GPA graduated, high honors. She's in the medical field. They do science research study on like the first stage 1 and phase 1 of.
No, I get it. She's a smart lady. I mean,
yeah.
What should I convince her of?
Well, I just wanted to know if you had 30 seconds to tell my wife or to try to convince my wife of what's going on in our country today and to really wake up and be a part of my team and the InfoWar team, the team that's driving for the truth in the right direction, what would you say?
All right, well, I appreciate your call. Let me just say this to your wife, Jody. Thank you, Jody. I can't make her do research on the topics we're covering. And I notice a lot of professionals that are really smart are some of the hardest people to wake up to this because they know there's problems in society, but they see it as almost positive that they overlook all that and just move forward and take care of business, as Elvis Presley would say. And you certainly have to take care of business, and you can't let all this tyranny get you down and stop you from living a life. But you've got to understand historically, when corruption builds to this level, it brings down civilizations and horrible tragedies happen. And tyranny is a norm in history, not an exception. And we've got a really bad batch of tyranny cooking up in the kitchen. And it needs to be thrown out. And so I understand statistically that husbands and wives don't listen to each other as much as they'd listen to a random salesman at the door. And so I guess I'm a random salesman at the door selling freedom. And I would just say to Jody's wife that there's so much admitted evil by the criminals that hide in government and major corporations that if I tried to just list a few things, it would make my head spin. I mean, there's thousands of declassified, and I use this a lot because everybody knows this, lethal studies that were killing people carried out by our government right through the last decade from the 30s. And no one ever got in trouble for any of it. And that's because there's a eugenicist-based power structure hiding within Western governments. Hitler was only one eruption of that went too far for even the establishment. And so I understand that this stuff's scary and it's easy to just deny it. But I'll assure you that it is real and that I am actually wrong about a lot of this. It's worse than I normally have thought. So it's not that I'm exaggerating. It's the other way around. And I wish every day I was wrong, ma'am. I wish every day this wasn't true. But I have the textbooks. I have the documents. I keep plugging this every day just because it's been on my desk the last few months. I need to put it back on the bookshelf. Ecoscience, it's free online. It's been scanned online about how they put stuff in the water to reduce our IQ and sterilize us. The White House regulations czar currently talks about, you know, dumbing us down and breaking us up and having us fight with each other. I mean, these are social engineers. And you ignore all of this at your own peril. Dan Bongino, the Secret Service agent, senior agent over Obama's foreign trips, basically has said it's worse than anyone knows. He had to sign agreements not to talk about it, obviously. And it is, last night, I talked to a Secret Service connection. It doesn't matter. It's just, see, I don't even want to get into this. It's just so crazy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's occult stuff going on. And we're in trouble. I mean, that's all I can say. And, ma'am, I know you probably feel like, well, what can you do about it? So why not just deny it? And so, fine, just deny it. But down the road, when things get so bad you can't deny it anymore, then at least get your heart right with God. Now, I said I'd take a lot of calls. I just spent 7 minutes on that one subject, or longer. Let's go to Wesley real fast in Mississippi. Go ahead.